Hi everybody, I'm Maria DeSimone, a professional astrologer. Welcome to my channel. If you're here for the first time, I want to welcome you and I thank you for joining me here. Today's video is actually deeply personal for me and it is part of my own sacred journey. If you want to find out more about the background for this video and everything that's led up to this moment for me, please check out my playlist on healing your heart. I basically did a video on every single Venus aspect that you can have to an outer planet in your birth chart. So if you have a Venus-Saturn aspect, a Venus-Uranus aspect, a Venus-Neptune aspect, or a Venus-Pluto aspect in your birth chart, then it sets you up for some potential difficulties in this lifetime connected to love and relationships, and certainly connected to your self-worth profile and that journey. And what inspired this video series was me deciding to put my heart in a coma consciously for 1 year after a heartbreak situation that I found myself in. And I started to call this the Heal Your Heart Astrology series. And this video today is me 1 year later. It is the 1 year anniversary of my last heartbreak, betrayal, trauma. And I woke up today just feeling so much peace and so centered and so balanced. And I have to tell you, it took me a lot to get to this place. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you, and it is deeply personal, but I believe in sharing my real life stories with you and bringing the astrology to life, because that's how we all learn and grow from it. But the reason that I'm sharing this with you is hopefully to inspire you to learn more about your potential short circuits in your own birth chart connected to Venus. And there's a lot of deep counseling and soul work that can be done if you have one or more of these signatures in your birth chart. I happen to have all of them. So I really can understand the dynamics for any of you who might be more Venus-Uranus or more Venus-Neptune or more Venus-Pluto or more Venus-Saturn. I have them all in my birth chart, and they have all come out in my life and in my life story in terms of love, relationship, and most certainly self-worth. This past heartbreak, betrayal, trauma, and it was a trauma for me, occurred 1 year ago today, April 3rd, 2021. That is the day that the major incident happened that woke me up to the trauma and betrayal and heartbreak. What it did was actually re-stimulate previous betrayal trauma that I had endured when my marriage ended back in 2007. Trauma that I thought I was healed from, but you know what? You think you're healed from something, and then another life experience triggers it, and you find out, oh, wait, I wasn't so healed from that after all. And I truly was not aware that I wasn't healed from this. It came out in physical illness, in a very serious, emotionally distressing way for me personally. And I clawed my way out of it. I really went within with my 8th house planets, with my 12th house planets, and I said, okay, God, what is this trying to teach me? Because I am not here on this earth to suffer for no reason. I don't think any of us are. I think that we are meant to go through our pain for a purpose, to become stronger, better souls, and also, for me, at least, to become a better healer in the work that I do. And by really digging in this year to the Venus aspects, I believe that I have become not only a better person inside, but I think that it's given me more perspective to be a better healer for those of you who consult with me, who might be going through your own heartbreak or trauma or betrayal or being re-stimulated with some serious issues that you thought were resolved, but they really weren't. So what I'm going to do in this video, and by the way, I will link my entire Healing Your Heart video series in the description box below, and I'll also put a link at the end of this video up here somewhere, so you could feel free to watch and explore these other videos that really go in depth about each of the Venus aspects and my own personal journey. I would read diary entries. I would give you specific exercises to do depending on your Venus aspect. And of course, if you want to consult with me during a personal session, we can really, on a personal level, get fully engaged in your life story and empowering you in love and relationships. So just click the link below if you want to set up a private consultation. But today, if you're still watching this video, this is a day of celebration for me. It really is. And I am posting this video really for myself, even more than anything else. It's to honor the progress that I've made, because it has been very hard-earned progress. And there are 3 books in particular that I want to share with you that were instrumental in my healing journey. And I do believe that they can help you if you are going through some kind of heartbreak, some kind of betrayal, any kind of trauma in your life that connects to love and relationship. And the first book is The Wisdom of a Broken Heart by Susan Piver. This book opened me up, cracked my heart open, and exposed things that I was not consciously aware of. And for me, as I would read these books, I would connect the dots to the astrology, and then it would help me dig into the astrology in a more psychologically rich way for myself, for healing. But that book was the first book that I read on this journey, and it is one of the best books that I've ever read. Now, another book that I read is called Breakup Boot Camp. And it sounds like a pop psychology book, Breakup Boot Camp, The Science of Rewiring Your Heart. But the author, Amy Chan, is just so incredible with her writing, her wisdom, her healing ability, what she shares about the science of heartbreak and how we can heal from it and give ourselves permission to take the time to heal from it. So that book, again, instrumental in my healing journey. Once I read those books, it became very clear to me that the core issue was never about the man that broke my heart. It was never about what he did and the perceived pain and suffering that came from that. It was always about me. It always goes back to you. It always goes back to us and our stuff that we have to work through. So the best book that I have ever read, possibly one of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life, is this book called Welcome Home by Najwa Zebian. This woman, oh boy, she gets to the core of it. And it opened me up to the realization that not only is love an inside job, but home is an inside job. And I realized that I did have this pattern of, for me, eclipsing my own identity and shoving away parts of my authenticity and who I am in order to feel loved, to feel safe. And when you do that, you're building your home in other people. And reading her book opened my eyes to this, and it helped to teach me to change that. And it really put me on this path to self-love that today, compared to 1 year ago, I am telling you guys, I am so grateful for that healing journey. Because if you would have seen me behind the scenes, you saw my smiling face in videos. And then you all, if you followed my work for a long time, you knew that I took 2 months off because I became extremely physically sick. Well, during that time, I was not well. I was really going through a tremendous amount of pain, and and heartache and insecurity and fight or flight, just so much. And I know that so many of you watching this relate to this, because if you didn't relate to it, you wouldn't be watching the video 10 minutes in. And I haven't even read today's journal entry that celebrates my healing. So this is the Healing Your Heart journal. And in all my other videos on the Venus aspects in your chart, I tell you, get a journal. And this was my journal, The Bleeding Heart, Healing Your Heart. And I woke up this morning and, I didn't want to put so much importance on a day, but the truth is this day means something in my life that is extremely significant. And a year ago today, my entire world collapsed. And it collapsed over a man who never even gave me a commitment. Now that is a Venus-Uranus signature. So if that sounds like you, go watch the Venus-Uranus video. But I accepted a relationship, a situationship, what it really was, for almost 2 years with a man that I was deeply in love with. And he never gave me a commitment. And I allowed that. That's okay, because part of this journey is about self-forgiveness. But a year ago today, literally 1 week before all of this happened, that I'll read about, I was at his parents' house for Palm Sunday dinner, having Palm Sunday dinner with his parents and his daughter. A few days after that, I had his daughter over my house decorating Easter eggs with her together. This man was in my bed just a few days before this betrayal, heartbreak situation happened. So from my perspective, I was gutted. I was blindsided, completely blindsided. I thought that I had a relationship, something that was turning into something meaningful. I loved his parents. I loved his daughter. I treated them like my own family, and it completely evaporated overnight. So the healing, I'm on the other side of it. I'm going to read my journal entry. I'm warning you, it's a few pages long. So if you're losing interest, you might as well click the off button now. But I'm going to take a sip of my lemon water, because this is really good for healing, by the way. I had a lot of immune system stuff going on. This is very good. Half a lemon squeezed in 16 ounces of water. Do it twice a day. Very, very good for you. So forgive me, I'm going to be looking down because I have to read from here. But I'm going to share with you my journal entry this morning, because again, today for me is a day of celebration and healing, and a reminder to all of you that no matter how much you're hurting right now and how much pain you are in, through that pain, I promise you there is healing. You just have to be willing to do the work every day. And I did journal almost every day for a year, and I read like crazy, and I poured into my birth chart and really analyzed deeply myself and my issues, taking responsibility where I needed to, and letting go of what I couldn't control and where I knew that I was at no fault. But let me read. So today is April 3rd, 2022. I am strong again. I am whole again. I have peace and balance in my life, and I am so grateful to be on the other side of heartbreak and betrayal trauma. Today is 1 year. 1 year ago, a man I gave my love to chose to stab me in the heart and the back at the same time. It left me gutted, on my knees, bleeding out. A legitimate piece of who I used to be died that day, because so much of my identity and all of my self-worth was put into the hands of a man who never even loved, let alone honored me. I spent the last year of my life slowly working through the shame, pain, and heartbreak I felt. I was physically sick and unable to work for 2 months because of the hit this took to my immune system. I was actually diagnosed with an illness that lay dormant inside of me for years that I never even knew about. Trauma weakens the immune system. That is a biological fact. When you go through a heartbreak, a betrayal, a trauma, instantly your immune system is compromised 40%. That's something that I learned. Trauma weakens the immune system, and it affects the physical body as well as the spiritual and emotional self. And I truly understand this now. I realized when I was sick with the reactivated Epstein-Barr virus that my very survival depended on me working through this trauma and making sure I never put myself in that position ever again. I realized that I was a love addict and that I was going through withdrawal. The darkest, ugliest side of my Venus-Pluto opposition came out in the first few months of my detox from this crazy situation I not only tolerated for almost 2 years, but that I created. The darkest parts of my psyche came to the surface as I resisted destroying the life of the man who broke my heart and the woman he chose over me. And that's some dark Venus-Pluto stuff, but it is honest. My wounded child cried some days and went numb on others, trying to process and reconcile the deep, raw feelings of abandonment, rejection, and pain that came from a man I gave so much power to, rejecting me and my love. I sat with my deep-rooted self-hatred and feelings of unlovability that traced back to the very first time I was thrown in the garbage and discarded by a man I loved and built my home around. It was a core pain rooted in the rejection of myself, not being valued and loved and cherished or celebrated for being my true self, but rather being punished and rejected for showing it. I learned that I had to shove away who I am in order to feel worthy of love or to even get love. That this was my price to pay for love and security. And that is a reflection of my Venus in Aries square Saturn in Cancer in my birth chart. And then I learned that this never works. The only real safety and security comes from me truly and fully loving and embracing myself and never ever compromising Maria to get crumbs of love from anyone. Once I went through the withdrawal of the toxic love pattern I was addicted to, I was left to see and confront my Venus-Saturn lessons. They were brutal. Sitting where I am today, I know that part of me is terrified of love, to ever love again. Why? I'm not sure I fully trust myself yet to make sure that I never lose myself to these unhealthy, deadly patterns again. So maybe I've become a little bit of a love avoidant. There's Venus-Uranus. And maybe that's not healthy either. It's the other extreme, and it is isolating, but the truth is, it feels safe. And for now, it allows me to maintain peace and balance. I can't afford to lose that ever again to what I think might be love. And when you have a Venus-Neptune signature in your chart, which I do, it is very easy to be swept away in feelings of, oh, this is my next soulmate and my fated love connection, and it's meant to be, and you start to fool yourself in love, and I did that for a long time. But when you go through a heartbreak or betrayal, astrologically, there are going to be triggers to your birth chart that symbolize the breakup and the type of breakup that you're experiencing. And sometimes you get a Plutonian breakup, sometimes you get a Neptunian breakup or a Uranian breakup. This breakup, and again, I say breakup loosely because we were never in a commitment, but we were definitely in a situationship. And he was in my life every day for 2 years. So to me, my experience was that it was a breakup. The transits and the cycles happening were Plutonian and Neptunian for me. And that is the theme of this breakup. So that's what I'm talking about next. When my heart was shattered, I was experiencing transiting Pluto square the ascendant, with solar arc Neptune opposite the ascendant. The bubble of self-deception burst when he was caught in his web of lies, but I was the one who chose to close my eyes all along. I betrayed myself. And over the last year, I've had to work very hard to forgive myself and to be kind to myself, to not hate myself. But with the Plutonian overtones of this traumatic ending, there was so much darkness to keep me under for a very long time. His secretive, deceptive, and manipulative tactics threatened my very homeland security. After all, the woman he chose over me lives right across the street. And I didn't even know that it was going on. Instead, I had his daughter at my house, and I was at his parents' house for a holiday, and he was in my bed. So after I found out about this, it became very Plutonian, Pluto square ascendant. There was stalking, following, bullying, intimidation. There were moments I'm not proud of. There were moments when I felt so threatened I thought about putting my house up for sale and leaving. But I didn't. I stood my ground, and I am so glad that I did that. I was put into a war zone overnight when, like I said, just the week before, his daughter was at my house decorating Easter eggs, and a few days before that, this man, who I loved, was in my bed, but he was chasing the woman across the street. And the very day he was found out, he picked up a bicycle for me and dropped it off and did something so kind for me hours before. And that night, he was caught because of an intuitive download that I got while I was praying to God. I was literally told where to go, what to do. And that's how I discovered the truth. So I confronted him and her in front of his house, and that was my Jerry Springer moment. Not proud of that. His mother heard, and after he chose to chase her, she waved me into her house. "Maria, what's wrong? Come inside." Cafe? She always wanted to give me coffee. So she had me sit down and she made me coffee. She fed me Easter pie. She sent me home with an Easter pie. She listened to me cry and tell my story and what was going on. She allowed me to share my pain. And then she said to me, after an hour and a half, "I'm going to tell you something about my son. I love him. He's my son. But Maria, one woman is never enough for him." His own mother said that to me. That later proved to be very healing for me. And that was the last time I ever saw his mother or spoke to her. And I loved her, so that was a loss for me. That was like losing another mother figure. But it still took me 1 year to find my self-respect and self-worth. He cut me, this man that I loved. He really did, because I gave my heart to someone who crushed it. That's the risk of love. But beyond that, he used me, manipulated me, played me for a fool, and I literally rolled out the red carpet and invited him to do all of that. It made me question my judgment and my sanity. It made me hate myself even more. But this past year has been about Maria learning to love, respect, and honor Maria. As you can see, she really needed to. His behavior is still inexcusable. It is still cruel and heartless, selfish, and disgusting. But my healing had to be about me, because I'm not responsible for anyone else's character and choices. I am only responsible for my own. And putting my wounded heart in a coma for this past year so that I could heal was the only way to quiet the noise and drama, so that I could really hear the beating heart of the woman that I am. Listening to the cries of my own heart, sitting with that pain, that fear, that shame, that tenderness, has somehow managed to make my fragile, traumatized heart more resilient than ever. I am a good woman. I deserve authentic love from a man who treasures me and my heart. And I finally love myself enough to never settle for anything less. 1 year. There is no more pain in my heart. There is acceptance and wisdom and grace. There is self-forgiveness and self-respect. There is love, beautiful, unapologetic self-love. Will I love again? Probably. Someday. But I'll never betray myself again, just to get crumbs of conditional love or attention from a man. Betraying myself has consequences that are far more deadly than the feeling of someone I love crushing my heart. Betraying myself is crushing my own heart. I'll never betray myself ever again. And I hope that means no one else will ever have the power to betray or traumatize me again either. So, that was a lot, I know. And if you're still watching this, thank you for letting me share my life experience and my journey with you. And again, I am sharing it in the hopes that it helps somebody out there who is grieving right now, who is brokenhearted, who is completely beside himself or herself with trauma and pain, and knows that it's a matter of life or death to heal at this point, but maybe you don't know how to even begin that healing journey. So part of it, you have to put your heart in a coma. I just believe that that's true. You have to take away any more possibility for noise. And you have to give that heart of yours space to heal. That's number one. Then number two, you have to really radically forgive yourself, love yourself, be kind to yourself, and commit to some kind of healing path, whether it's astrology and digging into your birth chart and your difficult aspects and overcoming them, whether it's self-help books like these that can change your life, journaling every day, even if it's just a page, even if it's just crying journaling, whatever. Give yourself that space. And if I can help any of you in your healing journey using astrology as our guide, it would be my honor, because I think I have learned a lot over this past year of my life about all of the possible aspects to Venus and the short circuits and the trouble that these aspects can cause, but also how to rise above it all and heal and become more conscious, more self-empowered, more self-aware, and a more loving, higher vibration human being. So, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.